Doing the throw, 40 the end zone, touchdown, Parker. Pick off, finds Xavier Howard. Tagovailoa trying to pick up for it, fires to the end zone, touchdown!
That hard work. Peter King article came out last night around 11 p.m. And if you follow me on Twitter, you saw what my early thoughts of it this morning were. So let's go over this. So this is an article that's going to go over the draft strategy. It's going to talk about Waddle, and it's also going to talk about Tua at the end, which I think is very, very interesting when we get into the Tua part. So this was March 25th, a Thursday night around 10 p.m., exactly 5 weeks before round one of the NFL draft. Miami GM Chris Grier sat in his rental Chrysler outside of the Residence Inn in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Grier would attend the Michigan Pro Day in the morning, but now here he was finishing up one of two deals that would recast the 2021 NFL draft. Miami's trade-a-palooza actually began March 3rd, when San Francisco GM John Lynch called to gauge the Dolphins' interest in trading the third overall pick. We're open, Grier said. We'll listen. In less than a month, that listening turned into Miami trading from the 3rd to the 12th in the first round and picking up 2 additional first-round picks and a third-rounder. Then, when Coach Brian Flores wanting to ensure getting an offensive weapon as a spur to move back up, with the driver's seat of the rental car as his office, Grier phoned Eagles GM Harry Roseman from Ann Arbor to work out the final details on the deal they'd been discussing. Miami trading the 12th pick plus a first in 2022 to move up 6 spots in this year's first round. Grier called owner Stephen Ross, who has to sign off. He didn't even spell Stephen right. Who has to sign off on deals of this magnitude late on a Thursday night. Steve was very excited, Grier recalled. He likes trades, as does Grier. Since taking over as a general manager with full personnel power in Miami 28 months ago, Grier has made 28 trades. That's a trade a month he's averaging. If that seems like a lot of deals, it is. Trade-happy Baltimore GM Eric DeCosta has made 14 deals in that same 28-month span. Many Miami deals have been done on the clock during drafts, but Grier's 25th and 26 trades left major imprints on 3 teams in this draft, and the impact of the deals will be felt for years. San Francisco went all in to get quarterback of the future Trey Lance at 3. Miami got the receiver returner it craved, Jaylen Waddle, at 6. And Philadelphia got the 3rd top receiver in the draft, Devontae Smith, at 10. And the Dolphins and Eagles got future high draft picks out of the 2 trades. We all talk about how much the game has changed over the years, but as the passing game has revolutionized the game on the field, the trading game has been transformative too. A cadre of young, aggressive general managers who learn from peers in all sports don't treat high picks like immovable objects anymore. Mm-hmm. In his 28 months as exclusive steward of the Miami roster, Grier has traded away 7 first and second round picks and acquired 12 of them. I think we're in a different age, said Grier, an unassuming 51-year-old football lifer, sitting at a long table on the morning of the day 3 of the draft with Flores at the other end. Football has evolved. A lot of general managers are willing to trade now. You've seen that over the past few years. Some of it probably goes back to the Moneyball craze. When people started looking at how it's done in other sports, you can never say, no, we'd never do this. We just always talk about it. How can we make our roster better? There will be some news of this of the day later, and he talks about how he said, but it's the day of the Dolphin at the top of the column. So before we keep going here, bro, what are your thoughts on the fact that he's made 28 trades in 28 months, and when it comes to first and second round picks, he's traded away 7 of those combined, but acquired 12 of them?
I had no idea of the actual numbers. I mean, we all knew he trades a lot. He's a wheeler and dealer. We call him the wizard. But that's astonishing. Averaging a trade a month. And the fact that he took, I think it said 7 first and second and turned it into 12, which is very impressive. What I like was the Powerball comparison that you're always constantly trying to improve your team in that era. They use statistics, but it seems like Flo and Greer have a good balance with that. Obviously Flo's the coach. He has some experience in the front office, and Greer, I think later on in the article, he has a lot of experience from his family. His father, I believe, was the GM for Detroit. I think it was.
I didn't find out his father was in football until this article, bro.
Well, his father was in hockey, I think. He might have been a personal guy and also now in football. So he has a lineage and he's learned, It's impressive what they're doing. It really is. And Peter King, man, when he digs in and he makes some good points and he makes a nice story.
Yeah. I had no idea his father was involved like that until this article. Really,
Okay.
I didn't.
Right.
So it keeps on going here. A modern general manager in sports, not just football, should have 4 things going for him. He must know how to use his leverage. He should have one eye on today and the other on tomorrow. He can't be afraid, and it's optimal to work with a coach who understands when it's smart to play for today and when it's smart to stock up for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Greer is 4 of 4. With Flores as his partner since February 2019, Flores worked in the Patriots scouting department for 4 years before becoming a coach. Greer is paired with a head coach who doesn't just live for today. When I said that in our meeting, Flores said, "You mentioned that philosophically coaches are about today and not about the future. I guess I'm more in tune with the future. When I get into my coaching short-term thought process, Chris pulls me out of that. We listen to one another and have good collaboration on everything, especially the roster. We have a similar vision for what we want the team to look like." Flores and Greer weren't altogether open with me in how they viewed this draft, but we can infer a few things from it. And this is where the leverage part comes in. The Dolphins sat at 3 in March, but didn't necessarily need to be at 3. They weren't going to take a quarterback, and as it turned out, they were keen on a receiver, Waddle, who was not the consensus top receiver available. Jamar Chase was, it says here. Still, if they went down to 12 with San Francisco, they knew to get an offensive threat like Waddle, they'd have to move back up to the 8th pick at the lowest, and they definitely wanted to be higher than that. On March 4th, Lynch offered San Francisco's first-round picks in 2022 and 2023 to move from 12 to 3. A very strong offer, 2 ones to move up 9 spots in the draft. Now, the Dolphins knew San Francisco wanted to get up that high to take a quarterback. That offer marinated for a couple of weeks. We weren't going to officially do the deal with that, Greer said, because we knew the importance of the 3rd pick. And with so many teams coveting quarterbacks in the draft, that's where the leverage came in. Greer could wait for a more aggressive offer. And knowing he had a good offer in hand, Greer could ask around between 4 and 8, would any teams want to go back to 12? The Dolphins saw the top of the draft this way. Picks 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks. Pick 4, a quarterback or tight end, Kyle Pitts. So they knew early they might lose on Pitts. Mm-hmm. Pick 5, Cincinnati, likely Chase. So they knew they were going to lose out on Chase, or probably tackle Penei Sewell. So let's stop right here. That right there tells you, Rhino, they were okay with missing out on Pitts, Chase, or Sewell, does it not?
Absolutely. That's the math I got. The math adds up for sure. I mean, because if you're high on Sewell, or if you're high on Chase, or if you're high on Pitts, you can't move out of 3. You can't. You have to stay there. So I don't know how else to see it.
Mm-hmm. And goes on here. This is an interesting quote, my friend. "One player we knew we felt very strongly would be there at 6, said Flores. The intimation to me was the player was Waddle. I got the feeling Greer and Flores were all in on Waddle, though they never said that specifically." Mm-hmm. That's a strong little quote there, bro.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Could that be that maybe the report we heard that they had Waddle as the number 2 player on their board behind Trevor Lawrence wasn't BS?
I'm going to ask a question, and I know we don't have an answer to it, but there are reports about players that took the year off. Did they drop Penei because of that? I don't know. Now, we're all assuming they probably didn't, and they really have Waddle rated that highly on talent and projection. But maybe if Penei was there that year and he didn't opt out, maybe he would be higher. I don't know. But yeah, however they got to their board, I believe it. I do believe he was the second on their board.
Yeah, I agree. And shout out to Martin, for the $5 donation. This is Chestnut Checkers. I literally said that today on Twitter when I talked about this. So, anyways, continuing on here. Greer probably wouldn't move back to 12 unless he could make a move back up to get Waddle or one of the offensive impact players. So when the initial 49er offer came in, Flores was clear what he wanted. Right away, said Greer, meaning right after the 49 offer, Brian was like, if we do this, we go down to 12, we need to figure a way to get back up into the top 10. We knew that Alabama receiver Devontae Smith, if he was the other guy who was a very good player, was not going to be there at 12. Notice that they called him the other guy. Yeah. Greer said, we knew the players that we wanted would not be there at 12. We had very good intel. There's that word again. Intel.
Did our homework. Yep.
We've done our work. We were 100% sure we were not going to get a targeted player, especially Jaylen, staying at 12. We felt we had to get to 8 was about the spot where we said, but we wanted to get up higher. We weren't really comfortable at 8. We felt 6 was the spot for us to get Waddle. So that tells you they were targeting Waddle from the get-go, it seems.
Yep.
Eagles at 6 were the perfect target. GM Howie Roseman loved trading, and he had a reason to want to collect draft capital. If Jalen Hurts didn't put a solid grip on the starting quarterback job this fall, Philly might need draft picks to target one of the top quarterbacks in next year's draft, or maybe even Deshaun Watson, which is what we've been saying over on this side for quite some time. It was a heavy price, but Roseman wanted a 2022 first-round pick from the Dolphins. Now Greer knew he could move back into the range for Waddle or a strong offensive threat. One afternoon in late March, Lynch was at his daughter's school tennis match, and his phone rang. It was Greer telling him they were close to being ready to do the deal if the 49ers added a third-round pick. That was tough for the Niners, who already were denuding the top of their next 2 drafts to get a quarterback. Lynch had to think about it. He knew internally that it would be a tough pill to swallow, but he had a third-round compensatory pick, likely to be the 104th pick, very low in the third round, coming in 2022 from Robert Saleh's hire by the New York Jets. A total bonus, Coach Kyle Shanahan called it. So the Niners, after some thought, agreed to add the third-round pick, the Saleh pick, as the sweetener to push the deal over the top. Lynch wasn't angry about the late ask for a third-rounder. He's done almost exactly the same thing in his first 49er draft in 2017, asking Chicago GM Ryan Pace for an extra third-round pick to get a deal done for Chicago to move up from 3 to 2 in the first round. Pace did it and infamously picked Mitchell Trubisky. I love dealing with Chris Greer, Lynch said Saturday. He's not emotional about it, and his word is everything. Chris is a rock. To me, Greer said, it's never about winning a trade. It's about being open, honest, and working towards getting a deal both sides feel good about. There was one other piece to the puzzle. In the first 2 years Greer and Flores worked together, so much of the draft prep and trading was about the future. The draft was more about the future as now. The guys we got in 2019, the guys we got in 2020, the guys we got in 2021 that we get in this draft, that's the team, Flores said. You know what I mean? That's the team moving forward. As we move forward, that's going to be the crux of the big chunk of our team. They'll be the reason why we make noise or don't make noise. So in 2019, the Dolphins might have moved from 3 to 12 and kept all their future ones instead of trading a 1 to move up back to 6. So what have I been saying for months before leading up to the draft? I want you to be aggressive. Go get your guys. Don't settle. Don't let the board settle it for you. And this is showing right here, Rhino, that they said, yeah, we'll take back and get some extra capital, but we still want to go get our guy. Does it not?
Absolutely. It does. Well, with Eichenberg, that's definitely a move. That's an aggressive move because they
overpaid.
Yeah, they overpaid, and sometimes when you're aggressive, that's the price of being aggressive. Yep. You have to overpay. But we also hear reports that they wanted to move up to get Najee and Etienne. That's aggressive. Sometimes even though you have to overpay, you don't want to overpay too much. But the mindset seemed to be within the organization that we all wanted as fans, or most of us wanted from fans. And the last part there, where he says that we're either going to make noise or not noise with our roster we have now, basically, he's acknowledging the pressure of making the playoffs this year. So he can't be upset if anyone is saying that to him in pressers or anything. Do you feel the pressure about the playoffs? Because he basically acknowledged it there. And it's good to see. It's good to be publicly honest with everyone and admit what everyone else knows. We have to make the playoffs.
Yeah. And we'll get into those expectations in a second, because it's a real question we got to ask people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All right. So continuing on here, if they picked right, Miami could have 6 starters on offense in the last 2 drafts. Waddle, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, and 4 of the 5 starters up front. 2020 picks Austin Jackson, Robert Hunt, Solomon Kinley, and the highly regarded 2021 second rounder Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. And he says he'll probably get a shot at left guard here. I don't think Peter King knows what he's talking about with that.
Yeah,
because it's already been confirmed by Miami media that Hunt's moving inside. On defense, they'll need more help from free agents in the last 2 crops. Byron Jones must play better at corner, he says. I don't know what he's talking about there. Pass rusher Emmanuel Ogbah will have a bookend helper now with the 18th pick in the draft, Jalen Phillips. And just signed expat Jason McCourty comes off a very good 2020 season to buttress the corner. On Friday, I asked one of the NFL's biggest wheeler and dealers of recent times, Jimmy Johnson, what he thought of the team Greer has produced. I like his trades. I like his picks, Johnson said. I like his approach. I used to say, do you want to play it safe and be good, or do you want to take chances and try to be great? But you got to win. Time will tell. Flores won't argue. He said trades are great, picks are great, but we don't want to be known as a great trading team. We are here to win.
Yep.
The biggest variable for Miami, of course, now is Tua Tagovailoa, the 5th pick of the 2020 draft, coming off a so-so rookie year in which he was benched twice in his shaky second halves. Miami picked him 1 slot ahead of Justin Herbert last April. Herbert finished his first season as a Charger with the offensive rookie of the year. Tagovailoa finished his first season with questions surrounding his ability to be Miami's long-term starter. That's probably not fair. Most often, quarterbacks don't play as great as rookies. Herbert and 2020 top pick Joe Burrow playing like vets from the start spoiled it for. I don't know what he's talking about, because him and Burrow had exactly the same statistical line, but okay. Yeah. But there's much riding on Tagovailoa for Greer. Miami built a war chest of picks to be able to draft a quarterback, and if Tagovailoa is not the guy, it'll set the rebuild back significantly and force Miami to use more draft capital on a quarterback, likely in 2023. Flores said, I never like to put it on one player. I think we've got a lot of young players, and we're looking for all those players as well as everyone on our team to improve in a variety of ways. If they're putting all the work in, I expect them to improve, get better, and perform better. Tua is obviously at the top of that list. He's been working. All signs point to, or should I say based on my experience, he's doing everything necessary to make some improvements. That's really all we can ask for. My thing is, if you put the work in, the results will take care of themselves. Now, here comes one of the most interesting quotes, and we're going to talk about this. Last year's situation is, we've talked about it numerous times. If he had started the season, Rhino, we wouldn't have pulled him. We put him in. We're in a playoff chase. At that point, second half in game 15 at Las Vegas, when Fitzpatrick entered in relief, it's, hey, we've got to do whatever we've got to do to try and win. But no, my confidence wasn't shaken in him.
He's very specific. Which is very rare for Flores.
Wow.
Yep. When he speaks, you got to listen, because he's speaking right there.
I mean, isn't that very telling, bro? All these people who are out here trying to use the fact that Tua got benched against him, Flores just basically dead it all, y'all, with one quote.
Mm-hmm. This is what, his second interview like this? The other one was with Cameron Wolf. Yeah. This is rare, and it seems like when he does these, he seems to be very honest. I mean, time will tell, obviously, but he seems genuine with this, and I think it's a point of contention with him, because I think even from us within the fan base, sitting in your channel, watching the games live, when Tua was benched twice, I think we're all kind of, everything got quiet. There were no comments in the chat. We're all kind of digesting it. It was an odd situation, but now that he explains it, it makes complete sense.
And here's the thing: are people going to ignore this?
Yeah. If it doesn't fit their narrative, they're going to ignore it. It never happened. He never said it. And who the hell is he? He's just the head coach. That's kind of how they'll spin it, or he was just saying that because he felt defensive. I don't know. But
I'm
yes,
just saying.
they will ignore it.
Just saying. He just literally deaded everyone who tries to use them against him. He literally told you if Tua Tagovailoa would have been the starter from day one, he would have never been pulled.
Well, they have to ignore it. He's talking to the media. He's throwing them under his bus right there with that comment. That's directed at a couple, people. That's directed at the fans to calm everyone down, and it's directed at the media to say you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah, you don't know the situation.
Yeah. So
I just think that's such a huge quote, Rhino.
Gigantic, yeah.
That's the one that I clipped out of this, right? When I shared it to you guys in the group chat around like 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just that says everything you need to hear about the whole pulling.
Yes. And it's not the same subject, but when he had the interview with Cameron Wolf, to me that deadened the whole thing about the trade. It just squished it to me because there's no way that guy's going to come out. That coach knows what he's doing, bro. He doesn't do those things unless he wants to. He knows what it means. And if people want to ignore it, that's their problem. Let them deal with it. I think that's what he feels.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think it's I think it's crazy, man. I think it's crazy how people continue to doubt this kid and they continue to try and take their shots at this kid when Flores has done nothing but throw his support behind him this offseason. So
it'll be all the sweeter.
So 2 other points here. Continuing education. Greer and Flores have brain picked with GMs across leagues. Greer learned from his dad, former Patriots personnel man Bobby Greer, and one of his bosses in Miami, Bill Parcells, but also from baseball GMs Theo Epstein from the Toronto Blue Jays, and then he went to the Boston Red Sox, and Jed Hoyer and several NHL GMs. Flores has gotten to know Miami Heat execs and learned from Oklahoma City GM Sam Presti and an assistant GM with the Nets, Andy Birdsong. Presti is an accumulator. Oklahoma City has 9 first-round picks in the next 3 NBA drafts. Birdsong and the Nets famously trade a ton of future draft capital to win now with James Harden. There's a balance there, a piece we're trying to get to somewhere in the middle. A place we're trying to get to somewhere in the middle, Flores said. That place this year is trying to build for today, but it's a balancing act, knowing when to go for it and when to build. Birdsong said, when I talk to Brian, we talk about not missing a moment. There are different moments of draft, free agency, trades. Your job is to collect actionable information so you'll be able to stand behind any decision you make so your actions can match your beliefs. Brian's background has prepared him for this moment. That background gives him the ability to be exactly what a coach needs to be today. He respects the job of the general manager because he's been in scouting. And then the Tunsil trade. Dolphins and EVP of football operations Mike Tannenbaum parted ways after the 2018 season, though Greer was appointed GM in 2016. Tannenbaum was heavily involved with football decisions from 2016 to 2018. That's why I drew the line of the demarcation January 2019 for Greer having full control of the personnel side. Greer's first big deal in 2019 came on September 1st when he traded tackle Laramie Tunsil. Team observers say Miami wasn't thrilled about throwing a big second contract at Tunsil, which would have been coming a year later, and wideout Kenny Stills to Houston for a package that included first-round picks in 2020, 2021, and a second-round pick in 2021. Houston was desperate for a left tackle, so the leverage was on Miami's side. So far, the trade looks like this, with secondary trades factored in. Tunsil and Stills for first-round corner Noah Benogany, fourth-round guard Solomon Kinley, both in 2020, first-round receiver Jaylen Waddle, and Javon Holland in the second round in 2021, a third-round pick from San Francisco in 2022, and a first-round pick from San Francisco in 2023. Those future picks could be vital if Tagovailoa isn't the answer at quarterback. It's a gift that keeps on giving, but for it to be a treasure trove, at least 3 of those players need to be stalwarts. It's too early to pass judgment now, of course, but the only benefit I see of the Holland pick is that it allowed Miami, after addressing a safety need, to move up to 42 to pick Eichenberg. He might be the best post-first round offensive lineman in the draft this year. The Tunsil deal, the Tagovailoa pick last year, and this year's third pick have set the table for Miami to challenge Buffalo and perhaps New England in the AFC East. The crops have been planted. Now we wait for the harvest.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You build a team off of 3 drafts, all high picks. You put in the work. You trust your talent evaluation. You trust your coach to develop them. You trust your GM to make more moves on the down low and high on the roster to get your team better. We're doing it the right way, and I'm so proud of this franchise not falling for the BS Watson stuff this offseason, this Rodgers stuff that's going on. They have a plan. The only way I see them ever moving off of Tua is to get like a giant, huge trade like they did with Tunsil. And it's just nice to see them giving everything that he's going to need. And I don't call it no excuses for Tua. I call it giving him the best ability to be Tua. And he's going to be incredible. I don't know how he's not going to be incredible. Our offensive line, they improved it so much. The blocking is going to be better. The pass pro is going to be better. We're actually going to have some freaking offensive coordinators are going to call some plays to make our quarterback and our offense be dynamic, so where they're not sticking the line with 8 or 9 people to stop us from doing what we need to do.
And they're going to game plan to his strengths, right?
Yeah. And then, we're going to lean on our defense because we have one of the best defenses in the league. It's wonderful to see. It's finally nice to see people that are living beyond making their next paycheck to the next year to keep the job for a year. They don't care about any of that. They want to win. They're thinking about the ring, man. They want the whole enchilada. They don't want a bite. They want the whole damn table. And I'm proud of them.